إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. أما بعد, today inshallah we will explain page 254, last page of chapter 13 Surah Al-Ra'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون فيها أنهار من ماء غير آسن. Okay, I think the explanation starts in the previous page. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون تجري من تحتها الأنهار أكلها دائم وظلها تلك عقبى الذين اتقوا وعقبى الكافرين النار. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, a description of the paradise which those who have taqwa have been promised. Underneath it rivers flow. Its provision is eternal, so is its shade. This is the final end, the final destination of those who have taqwa. Ask Allah to be among them. And the final destination of the believer, and the final destination of the disbelievers is fire. And the final destination of disbelievers is fire. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, after telling us about the punishment of the people of the hellfire, He subhanahu wa ta'ala told us about the bliss that the people of paradise will be in. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Muhammad, so He said in this surah, مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون, the description of the paradise which those who have taqwa have been promised, meaning its description, the description of the Jannah, of the paradise, and the qualities. تجري من تحتها الأنهار, underneath it rivers flow. These rivers flow in the various parts and grades of paradise, and wherever its people wish, they flow and gush forth for them. So the people of paradise will decide where they want these rivers to flow, and their wish will come true. This is a quality that Allah has given to the people of Jannah. Allah also said in Surah Muhammad, مثل الجنة التي وعد المتقون فيها أنهار من ماء غير آسن وأنهار من لبن لم يتغير طعمه وأنهار من خمر لذة للشاربين وأنهار من عسل مصفى ولهم فيها من كل الثمرات ومغفرة من ربهم. The description of paradise which those who have taqwa have been promised is that in this paradise there are rivers of water that flow in this river, the taste and smell of which are not changed. So the water, if it stays in a certain spot for a long time, it changes odor or color. But for the rivers of paradise, that doesn't happen. The smell and the taste of this water never changes. Also, there are rivers of wine, delicious to those who drink. Wine, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it does not cause you to lose your mind and commit all type of evil deeds. It is a wine that does not make you drunk. And rivers of clarified honey, therein for them is every kind of fruit and forgiveness. Allah said next, أكلها دائم وظلها, its provision of this paradise is eternal, and so is the shade of paradise. Because paradise has foods, fruits, and drinks that never end or finish. As the scholar said, the fruits keep the same shape and color. but the taste changes. The taste changes so that people of paradise do not feel boredom. It is recorded in the Sahih that Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma narrated in the hadith about the eclipse prayer. So there was he narrated a hadith where the Prophet ﷺ did the prayer for the eclipse. This is the sunnah. The sunnah is that if there's eclipse, there is a salat. It is fard kifaya. That means it's mandatory on a portion of the ummah to do the salat. It's a special type of salat. It has in every rak'ah, it has two ruku' and two sujood, as opposed to the usual salat that we know, that every rak'ah has one ruku' and one sujood. And the sunnah is to make the recitation long, like maybe you recite Surah Al-Baqarah, for example, in the first rak'ah, and Surah Al-Nisa in the second rak'ah, or something like that, like long, where to read the salat. And this is a salat of fear, because the eclipse is one of the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show mankind his power, and that the sun that we depend on to grow our vegetables and for other things, and the night that we depend on for our rest, can actually be changed by the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the sunnah. Nowadays, because they can compute when the eclipse is going to happen, people, they take pictures and no fear is in their hearts. And people are heedless nowadays, all we can say. But the sunnah is to do this prayer of the eclipse. So he narrated the salat, narrated the hadith where he described the salat. And the companion said, "O Allah's Messenger, while you were standing in prayer, we saw you reach for something with your hand, and then you brought it back." The Messenger ﷺ said, "إني رأيت الجنة أو أريت الجنة فتناولت منها عنقودا ولو أخذته لأكلتم منه ما بقيت الدنيا." So in his prayer, the Prophet ﷺ saw paradise, or was shown paradise, and he reached for a cluster of grapes or other fruits. And the Prophet ﷺ said, had I kept it, in other words, had I taken this fruit from paradise, you would have eaten from it as long as this life remains. That means you would not perish and it would not go bad. This is some of the miracles of the Prophet ﷺ was given, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do all things. Imam Muslim recorded that Jabir ibn Abdullah said that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, يأكل أهل الجنة ويشربون ولا يتمخطون ولا يتغوطون ولا يبولون طعامهم جشاء كريح المسك ويلهمون التسبيح والتقديس كما يلهمون النفس. The people of paradise eat and drink, and they do not need to blow their noses, nor answer the call of nature, nor do they need to urinate, because they pass the food excrements in belches which smell like musk. They burp, and the burp smells like musk. They will be inspired to praise and glorify Allah as spontaneously as they breathe. So they will be inspired praises of Allah the same way that they breathe. Imams Ahmad and Nasa'i